What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me I have some more RPG horror stories. Apologies for lack of arms and lack of being in VR. I'm having a bit of an eye issue. Remember forever ago when I talked about having an eye ulcer? Yeah, I felt like that might be coming back sometime soon, so I'm taking a little break from VR and wearing contacts in general. And I can't exactly wear my VR headset without contacts on. I mean, I guess I could, but then I wouldn't be able to read anything for the stories because my vision is doo-doo. So here I am, once again, sitting over at the desk, and we gotta cover some RPG horror stories with just me. Apologies for that, but with lack of arms, let's get on with the first story for today. Player only speaks in reference on pop culture. This is not exactly a horror full-on experience, just a mild frustration that I'd like to share. Currently in a game that I'm loving. The world is deep and rich with lore, characters, and lots of food. I'm in a small party as it's hard to find players for us. I play a paladin with high charisma, very talkative, having fun with it. There's another player who's a pretty cool guy, to be honest. He has lots of love of fantasy and is polite. He has one issue. He does not know how to speak without making it a meme or reference. These includes, but unlimited to, SpongeBob lines, memes that range from 1 to 20 years old, more SpongeBob lines, singing songs that are only popular in meme formats, and you guessed it, even more lines from SpongeBob. It wasn't bad at first, but it gets a very grating. Our DM asks often if you have any questions about a specific scene or whatever, and without fail, he'll always respond very loudly, "Is mayonnaise an instrument?" Followed by no one laughing, and DM going, "Nope, not an instrument." She doesn't seem to be irritated with him like I am, and I don't know the group well enough to ask the others if they're bothered by it. I also worry to do so because I don't want to cause drama or break up the group. Okay, if somebody unironically actually uses "is mayonnaise an instrument" as a question for every time the DM asks if anybody has a question, yeah, no, that would definitely be grating. I'll definitely find that annoying at the table as well. Either the two things going on, there's two things going on, 100%. There's only two things that could be going on right now. Either the player is a friend of the group, but they're extremely awkward and they just genuinely don't know what to say, and the only thing that like stuck in their head is memorable memes for whatever reason. And it's just kind of their way to, I guess, get themselves involved in some weird way. Or maybe they just think they're the funniest person in the room and they think that they have to say nothing but just regurgitating memes. I was playing some Master Chief Collection like a year ago with some friends. We were playing some Halo Reach just because it was for the sake of nostalgia. And the whole time, everybody in the group, everybody in that Discord, the only thing they were doing is just mentioning Russian Badger quotes because he recently played Halo and I got everybody to want to play Halo and stuff. And that can get really obnoxious. Like, I don't mind people mentioning memes or mentioning references and stuff. That's fine and all. But if the entire conversation is nothing but references and memes, it's like, haha, guys, yeah, why don't we say something original for once? Why do we have personalities? No, we're gonna regurgitate just more memes and more quotes we saw in the video? Okay, I guess we cannot have any original comedy. Like, I have no problem with memes. But if all you do is regurgitate memes and quotes and references that nobody else really gets, or people get a little bit too well, and all of us watch Russian Badger, so yeah, we all get it too well. Yeah, no, that doesn't make a fun conversation, nor would it make a really fun like time to constantly have your D&D or any TTRPG be ruined and stopped by somebody constantly coming in thinking that they're the funniest person in the room and just saying, "Is mayonnaise an instrument?" for upteenth time. Yeah, that could be very grating. I completely relate to you. It seems to be the only way for him to speak because he often quieted the table otherwise, waiting for a chance to say "nice" to every time I mention I have 69 silver pieces. I try and prompt RP from him, often by asking his character questions. They usually short or also made into a meme. Asked if his character is religious, he responds with, "I have the power of God and anime on my side." This is not an answer. He then says no, his character is not religious. I don't understand it. What would you recommend I do to preserve my sanity and more importantly the group? I don't want to hurt his or anyone's feelings. Genuinely, I think you might have a player that is just a little bit too awkward, or they think that the only way they can communicate is some sort of meme parables, basically. I'm not using that word incorrectly, but I think if you really have a bad issue with the player, or if you don't want to confront the player directly, you could always just talk to the DM if they seem to know the player and ask them if this is just a common thing for them. How long have they known the player? Is this just a regular thing? Is anybody else a little bit annoyed by this? I think bringing this up to your DM, or at least talking to the rest of the players and actually asking them like, "Hey, is this like a normal thing? Do you guys know him? Is he used to this sort of thing? Like, is this just how they go? Like, this is just the float? You know what I mean? Like, if this is just like a thing they just do and everybody's kind of used to it because it's part of the friend group and everybody's like, well, that's Jimmy, the memer. He just references 20-year-old memes out of nowhere. Or maybe the player is just really awkward and doesn't know how to communicate with others, and the only way they can do so is by awkwardly just spurting out out memes, I guess. Spurting. Yeah, we'll go use spurting. I don't know what spurting means, but it sounds like a really good word to use for this specific situation. It could be a nervous response as well. Maybe they just don't know how to roleplay. Maybe this is the only way they know how to interact and kind of, I guess, contribute to the world. Maybe they should try roleplay. Maybe we should try asking, hey, have you actually considered roleplaying some? Maybe getting to the game a little bit more. Maybe speaking from characters that are references. If your sanity is affected, definitely speak up to somebody. Talk to your DM. Maybe have a conversation with them one-on-one. See if they know this person, know this guy. Maybe this is just a normal thing to do. And if the rest of the table really doesn't mind it and it just continues and it's actually driving you insane, please do yourself a favor, leave the table and find some other table that you can enjoy, because no D&D is better than bad D&D. And if somebody just being a meme lord at the table is not making your experience enjoyable, I would say you probably should leave. Maybe. People watching the video, what are your thoughts on this specific story? Leave it down in the comments below. I'd like to see you guys' responses. Let's get to the next story for today. DM slows game to a crawl and then is surprised that the game is slow. A very mild horror story here. Never thought I'd be posting here, but I like to get it off my chest. So regular DM is a great guy, but he is too far stuck in his ways, plays far too closely to the book, and isn't flexible at all. Our very first session was fantastic. We started in the city, had a series of short quests with a lot of problem solving, NPC interactions, and decision making. Great! But when we leave the city to head to the next destination, the game slows to a crawl. Every single day plays out the exact same way. You traveled all day. Now, who's on first or second or third watch? Rolls dice. Night passes without events, or here's a random combat. It's the same thing every time. There's no unique combat twists, no unique maps with terrain changes. Just run into each other and smack repeatedly until one side is dead. I figure our DM is just improvising and has run out of content, but doesn't want to wrap the session because we're all still chatting. We eventually peace out once we realize the loop we're stuck in. Might be a little bit too early for me to jump in at the beginning, but I feel like maybe your DM had a great first town to work with, and maybe as soon as you guys left, they just didn't know what to put down. Or maybe they're just waiting for you to get to the next town that they got a bunch of stuff prepared for. Who knows? Well, anything could happen at this point. We're still very early in the story. Session 2. We arrive at a dungeon midway to the next city. Fun dungeon, interesting encounters, unique battles, cool dungeon story that plants seeds of possible future BBG. That was nice. Session 3. Oh no, we're back on the road. You traveled all day. Now who is on first, second, or third watch? Rolls dice. Night passes without event, or he's a random combat. Oh my god, we're back in this hell. This is by design the whole time. Not just that, but new players have joined. And all we're fighting over and over is boring undead enemies because of that's easy XP for level 1s. Mother session, one friend makes it fairly obvious when he says, when are we gonna get to the next town? Oh, we still got in-game week to go. It could not be more obvious the boredom my friend showed when he sighed, and yet the DM didn't speed us along at all. What makes each random combat we play even worse is that we roll for initiative. Every single round? This is like 3 extra minutes of everyone rolling and then the DM slowly counting down to 20 until someone says, that's me. I actually suggested a method I'm planning on using on my own game. Just roll initiative once at the top of combat, they go in clockwise order. Fast and easy to remember. Nah. We'll keep doing it my way. By every single round, are you talking like every single time the combat begins? Or are you talking like every time a new round begins, you gotta re-roll the initiative? Because that is crazy. Why would you do that? Just roll the beginning of combat and then that's the initiative and go from there. If you're gonna have multiple combats, I mean, maybe you could set up like a very simplified rule set to just let people keep the initiative if they want to, just to make things a lot easier and a lot more streamlined. I feel like the problem that you guys got going on here specifically is that your DM has so much cool stuff prepared in towns, in dungeons, but when it comes to traveling, they're kind of just phoning it in because it's just part of the game and they think, oh well, it's just part of travel. It's kind of realistic, so you're gonna be traveling around on watch. Sometimes things may not happen, sometimes you get on combat. It's just how it is. Combat and travel, just traveling in general, does not have to be so drab. If you want to skip travel, I think you're more than fine to skip travel. There's nothing wrong with wanting to skip travel, especially if you have a lot of areas to go to. And trying to play out the entire week for your game, is that really worth it for the enjoyment of the game itself? Like, would it really? You gotta ask yourself as a DM, does it really make the game better by playing out the entire week, entire in-game week of players traveling from one place to the other? There's nothing wrong with fast travel, as long as players have enough rations to be able to cover the rest, and as long as they're not going through like an obviously dangerous area, it's fine to skip from one town to the next and get to the fun bits of D&D. But if you are going to include travel, you better have something on the side, some sort of a roll table, some sort of fun events that could be happening along the journey. Put in side quests along the journey to make traveling a little bit less boring. Maybe something exciting. I don't know, a kid stuck in a well, or a demi-lich that's trying to awaken their servants or something. 3 cobblestone trench coat are trying to scam the party for something, and they have to kind of get into this big, like, Scooby-Doo chase over this. I don't know. Just because you want to have travel in a game doesn't mean you need to make it boring. You can always spice it up and try to make it interesting. You have the ability to run travel however you want to. And the way the DM is running it, probably it's not working out. I feel like you guys need to just let the DM know, hey, DM, could we have some sort of semblance of excitement during travel? I get you want to have us travel throughout the week and everything, but could we at least have one event? Or hey, start skipping days where there's nothing happening and only playing on the days where DM has something planned out specifically. They even a point that we're fighting wave after wave of endless undead that's fairly obviously the AC is 8. I roll one time with my attack and damage dice together just to speed up the teensy bit because I'm almost hitting with my +6 attack bonus, and DM tells me, yeah, don't do that. We'll finally arrive in town. Checking it in, a DM goes, wow, we were supposed to be here 4 hours ago. You guys took forever. I wonder whose fault that is. I'm all hoping as I prep the run for my first time as a DM that I can open his eyes with the amount of ways I'm cutting out the fluff and getting to the meat of the game. When he runs actual content, it's fun, creative, engaging. But the dude just stuck to travel slog like it's livelihood. No matter what we say, I'm absolutely gonna rent horses next time we need to go somewhere. God help us if horses die in the night though. I feel like your DM is a good DM. They just need to get themselves out of this funk or whatever mindset they got going on of travel needs to be boring. I get it. Sometimes you want to have travel and you want to make it realistic. Hell, I love when travel happens in my games and always make my players go through it, but always make it expedient and make it fast. If players want to have downtime to maybe, I don't know, teach each other languages along the way, they just do a couple of rolls on Foundry and there we go. Sometimes they teach each other languages, sometimes they make a little bit of progress, sometimes they make no progress at all. If they want to teach each other weapon masteries or like weapon proficiencies, they totally can. Or maybe they want to practice some sort of a tool in order to learn, I don't know, how to work with woodworker's tools or something, right? Carpenter's tools or woodcarver's tools. Or maybe if there's a river nearby and players are low on rations, if they have fishing rods, I'll let them do fishing checks. But making travel to the point where every single thing needs to be tracked and boring, that's not okay. That really is not okay. Make travel, unless it's important to have an event happen mid-travel, make travel expedient as possible because you want to try to get to the fun bits of D&D. There's already a lot of waiting and downtime in D&D, and it already kills a lot of the time. Like, listen, I get how you want to run your game. You run your game however you want to, but this is just not a good way to deal with travel. I feel like the players were correct here in this situation is that you need to try to expedite a lot of the fluff out of your game and try to move and get to the fun bits, right? Get rid of the fluff, get rid of the fat, trim the fat completely, and get to the fun bits. If you want to include travel, just trim the stuff that's boring, keep the stuff that's needed, such as necessary rolls or anything specific, or come up with specific encounters. But unless players are looking for a specific random encounter to do, ask them ahead of time, would you guys want a random encounter or would you like to just fast travel to the next city? That probably make things a lot easier because sometimes players may want to have a random encounter if they're looking for a specific type of creature to slay or something, or they just want to hunt down like I don't know, a bunch of owlbears or something because owlbear feathers are valuable or something. I don't know. But unless players want to do that sort of thing, ask them ahead of time, hey guys, do you want to fast travel or do you want to actually explore and take it slow? Give them a choice. Let them choose. And then the audacity for the DM to be like, wow, you guys should have been here hours ago. Yeah, I wonder whose fault that is. Genius. Let's get on to the next story for today. Wannabe badass D&D player jerks off under the D&D table. So this incident happened about 3 years ago. Me and my good friend, woman, just graduated. Why does it phrase like that? Me and my good friend, a woman. Why is it phrased like that? Typically people write like, you know, 21F, like stands for 21 female or something. I don't know. Or I don't know. Just the way it's written is just really strange about it. Me and my good friend, woman, just graduated high school and started to go to the CD-ish game shop. And it was full of neckbeards. Plenty of dudes making comments about how women don't belong to TRPGs and making creepy comments about women. What? Shut up. This doesn't really make sense to me already. Listen, I don't want to jump to stories being fake and stuff, but it seems really weird that you and your good friend just graduated high school and decide to go to a specifically seedy place that's full of neckbeards that literally don't want women there when you have a woman with... Why'd you guys choose this place? Why did you go to a different shop if you found out that the place doesn't really like having women there? Unless you found out too late about it, then it could be a possibility. Well, eventually we found a decent DM to play D&D with. He was a bit of an edgelord, but very accommodating to women and new players. We had a campaign set up in this eldritch horror-esque world where rulers and magic wielders were gradually going insane. Cults were expanding and the world was decaying. Our party began in a cave, fleeing from a collapsing town as marauding warlords conquered it. I was playing as a Leonin wizard. My friend was a tiefling barbarian. Two other players were halfling rogue and half-orc cleric. And then there was this guy in his mid-50s with a leather vest, shades, and hair dyed jet black. He was also a massive edgelord, way more than the DM. if we already knew that he had an attitude of I'm the best D&D player attitude, he played as a Goliath wizard. Maybe I'll get some flack for this, and I'm sure I will. Maybe I deserve it, but I feel like things are lining up a little bit too well here. Now, it could be coincidence. Maybe this is actual legit events here going on. I don't care to really argue like validity of different stories, but I'm seeing the puzzle pieces kind of align themselves a little bit too tightly here, a little bit too well here, right? We have a game store full of neckbeards that apparently dislike women, and you and your friend, a woman, are going to this game store. You find a DM who's a bit of an edgelord, but very accommodating to women and new players, but also has an very eldritch horror-esque world and stuff that basically kind of grim darkish kind of vibes to it, where I feel like it's kind of recipe for like, edgelord DM is gonna have an edgy story, it's gonna be quite a disaster and something bad's gonna happen, even though they're accommodating to new players and women. Why do I have to say specifically they're accommodating to new players and women? Maybe there's a reason for it. I don't know. Maybe just a really bad game store, just really terrible people, and you found the only DM that isn't terrible to women. Maybe that's just what needs to be pointed out. I don't know, honestly. I mean, if the place is this toxic to women, I don't think you guys should have even played there in the first place. You probably should have just not played there at all. I'm sure there's another game store out there in town, and if there's not, online games probably existed as well, especially 3 years ago. 3 years ago, that's when COVID happened, and that's when online games blew up. You guys just should have played online. I don't know why you guys didn't play online then. But also on top of that, we have this guy in his 50s. It has a leather vest, shades, hair dyed jet black. Are you describing the greasers? Are you describing the tunnel snakes from Fallout 3 or something? Is that what we're talking to? Are we talking to one of the tunnel snakes from Fallout 3? Is that what it is? Like some sort of a greaser wannabe? Goliath Wizard tried to act like he is a badass, like massively overcompensating. He wanted to sort of prove he wasn't just a middle-aged neckbeard, even though he totally was. He just didn't have the look. He would, for example, be unreasonably difficult in negotiations or interactions with NPCs. He would go overboard on flirting with NPCs, or my friend who told him to screw off in character repeatedly. Like this one incident where he beheaded a cultist we were about to interrogate. The party called him out and he just went all, I grew up in real D&D, you guys grew up on 5e, sit this one out. Or another time when he tried to accost and force himself on a church lady that insulted him and cursed him in the name of her god after he rolled in that one on a seduction. This one led to a single definitive warning from DM that he would be kicked if he tried something like that again. But the real incident happened when he showed up drunk to the game. He tried to seduce a local daughter of the Lord of the Land. The game owner mentioned that the camera system was broken and made a joke along the lines of, please don't steal anything. So I guess the creep took this as a go-ahead to jerk off under the table. He must have thought he was being subtle. He kept his pants on, but well, rubbed himself using his hand onto the table. And again, listen, I don't want to be the guy that constantly is the conspiracy theorist saying things are lining up too well. This story seems far-fetched. But like, if the security camera is off for today, and then the owner says, please don't steal anything, ha ha ha, the camera is off, guys, and suddenly the guy's like, oh, me as a greaseball, this is a perfect time for me to just go jorking it onto the table, just rubbing one out. What? This could be a legit set of events, and maybe this is just that unfortunate set of events and that's how it is, but it sounds, the way it's written, it sounds like at least two perfectly lined up to be believable. Like, I want to believe it. I'm not the kind of guy, I don't want to make my videos about like, oh, this story is probably fake and stuff, and like this story is this % fake. I don't want to read RPG horror stories and start thinking like, oh, this story is fake, that story is fake, but like the things are just lining up a little bit too well. Am I just crazy about it? I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just too fixated on this whole idea. Either way, jorking out to the table, not a good thing, not a good look. And hopefully the DM catches it and gets rid of the guy. DM must have caught him as his in-game seduction attempts were failing, because after the session ended, he announced to Discord that he noticed him masturbating under the table. He said he didn't want to make a scene during the game or risk confrontation, but he informed the game store owner, and now he's banned from both the table and the store. And that was it. We never saw him again. He just continued playing after that, and the game was better. We eventually did pick up a new player, and he wasn't a total creep. The fact that you have to say he wasn't a total creep means it's implying that the player was indeed somewhat of a creep, which I gotta say, why are you playing in this game? Why are you playing at this table? Why are you playing in the store? If you get nothing but creeps in this like at this store, just don't play in this place. Especially, you said this would happen 3 years ago. That's when online D&D and TTRPGs really blew up. You could find so many online games everywhere, literally everywhere. Roll20, bunch of people running Foundry games and stuff. You didn't have to be at this game store. You really didn't have to. You could have enjoyed some proper D&D online somewhere, or maybe found swaths of games that are just starting up that you don't have to deal with creeps. So hopefully you don't have to deal with creeps, at least in person. Yeah, dealing with creeps in general is not fun. I'm not gonna say that online creeps are better than in-person creeps, but like, you guys didn't have to stay in this game. You don't have to stay in this game. You don't have to deal with creeps. There's a very good saying out there that Quit Crab use a lot, and I think is a great motto for everybody. No D&D is better than bad D&D, and especially if you're gonna be dealing with a lot of creep lords, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. You should do yourself a favor. Find yourself a really good game, or spend all the time looking for a good game instead of just being stuck in a bad game full of creeps and weirdos and stuff. And instead, playing a game where you can actually enjoy yourself, enjoy RPGs, enjoy role-playing, enjoy the every bit of TTRPG, whichever one you're playing, D&D or otherwise. No overly edgelordy DMs, no overly weird perverts that jorking under the table, especially if somebody is just jorking under the table as soon as they're told like, oh yeah, the security system is down. Ha ha ha, please don't do anything. Ha ha ha. And the first thing the guy tries to do is just rub it onto the table. Hold yourself to a better standard as a player and the DM, and try to find yourself a game that you're gonna actually have a fun time and enjoy yourself in, instead of a crappy time and have to deal with a bunch of bad actors. Listen, I promise you, it's gonna be way worth it looking for a good game for yourself instead of a bad game. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.